Greetings loyal subscribers and honoured guests. Welcome to episode 50 of Covertape Chaos, which will be the last one for a little while, until early 2019 in fact. When it does return, it will be non-stop until we reach the end of episode 64 however, with a new one every fortnight as usual. In the meantime, while the tapes have been a bit of a mix of good, bad and boring lately, this one looks quite promising up front. There are no boring utilities, no techie tips to take up valuable space, just gaming from beginning to end. Granted, 2 of these games are free PD efforts, so it may turn out that they're not up to much, but let's not judge until we've at least given them a try, eh? The first item on the tape is a bit of a belter. It's none other than Drop Zone by Archer Maclean. CF have even given the game a swanky new autoloader featuring an awesome piece of music, courtesy of the Electric Boys, who did all those demos a few tapes ago. Now, Archer's game was quite old even back in 1994, but it was still a worthy inclusion on the Power Pack. It does play an awful lot like Defender, with the player tasked to protect little men from hordes of savage alien invaders, multi-directional scrolling, a smart bomb that can be unleashed with the spacebar, and a very challenging level of difficulty. There are a few differences though, such as the base you can drop your dudes at to keep them safe, while you focus on wiping out the alien scum, and a limited use cloaking device which can be extremely handy when you want to sneak up on some of the tougher enemies. Drop Zone is an extremely difficult game and I didn't manage to get very far, but it is highly enjoyable and I will keep practicing. A great start to the tape. Next up we have the first of the 2 PD offerings, entitled Chaos. This is an extremely simple blaster where you have to destroy and avoid waves of enemies as they bounce around the screen. Once you've killed a target number of a certain enemy type, then they change into something else, and so on. The enemy patterns don't appear to change when the enemy's appearance does though. Like I said, this is very basic stuff. It's not terrible though, just a bit dull after a while. The graphics are quite nicely drawn and animated, although I recognise the chubby little robots, so I think these may be sprites ripped from other games. I also thought the use of the Rob Hubbard music was a bit dodgy, although I would assume that Commodore Format got his permission to use it in the game and on their tape. Perhaps not though. Overall, we've definitely seen worse on past tapes. Flipping over to side 2, we begin with a demo for a game called Heavenbound. I'm not certain that this was ever actually released, as I couldn't find much information about it online. If it was only available by mail order through the Electric Boys PD library in the UK, so I would guess not many people know about it. That's a shame because it looks like this was panning out to be an awesome little platformer. You take control of a little pink elephant and work your way up the screen by jumping from cloud to cloud. The fire button can be pressed to shoot at the various baddies, but you have to be facing sideways first. You can also face forwards. Sometimes the baddies drop what looked like power-ups, but I couldn't work out what they did. Heavenbound features some very nice graphics, quite reminiscent of Mayhem in Monsterland. Mayhem himself actually features in the little intro, getting mown down by the elephant. Again, did these guys get permission to rip sprites out of other people's work? I guess people didn't really worry about this sort of thing back then. Oh well. If this ever did become a full game, I would like to see it. This demo showed a lot of promise. We finish things off with Gallants, another PD effort. You can tell what this is by the title, a not particularly good version of the classic arcade game. The sound at least is fairly authentic to the original game, but the graphics are extremely basic, with no animation to speak of at all. In terms of gameplay, I suppose it is at least playable and responsive, but it is by no means accurate to the game it is trying to copy. It is interesting to see this now because I've been playing quite a bit of Gallants recently, which is a modern take on Gallagher and far better than this. Go seek that out instead. A digital version is really cheap and you can get it via Steam instead of having to mess around with the Commodore 64 emulator. So that brings us to the end of Power Pack 50, and I have to say it was actually pretty good. Even the 2 PD shooters offered a few minutes of enjoyment, incredibly simple as they are. It's nice for this series to go out on a positive note, and it gives me hope that we will find some good stuff hidden away in the final set of official cover tapes. As I said in the intro, that will be in early 2019, although there will be other stuff on the channel for you to enjoy until then. Cover tape chaos will return. In the meantime, take care.